The President of the United States called Somalis garbage that he doesn't want in the United States. Garbage is a quote. And this afternoon, the mayors of Minneapolis and St. Paul, along with the police chiefs, had a big news conference where they were talking about the reports that have been coming out that Immigration and Customs Enforcement is planning an operation targeting Somali migrants in the Twin Cities. New York Times made the initial report on this. And it's one thing to have, this community has been the center of national attention for the last couple of days, starting with reports about the fraud that we've talked about for years on this show, the fraud in a couple different social service programs, Feeding Our Future, which was COVID related. Then there have been conversation about Medicare, conversation about autism centers, daycare facilities. And while it is unquestionably true that in a community of 80,000, maybe more people, the vast majority of Somalis who are in Minnesota are not involved in fraud. It is also true that the vast majority of people who have been arrested and charged with fraud are Somali. And so there is this tension. That said, to have the President of the United States, and we'll play his sound in just a minute, but to have him with a broad brush call this entire community garbage, saying that he wants to get them out, not people who are here illegally, all of them out, is astonishing to me. And maybe it shouldn't be, but it is a progression of rhetoric, a progression of hate and xenophobia that I just cannot believe is coming from the President of the United States. The mayor of Minneapolis, Jacob Frey, is with us on the John Schuster Coldwell Banker Hotline. He has been meeting with state officials, local, other mayors, talking about what exactly the city response will be if there is, and it sounds like, according to the New York Times, according to the Associated Press, there is a plan in the works to have a massive ICE operation here in the Twin Cities, specifically targeting Somalis. Mayor, thanks for being with us.
Thanks for having me, Jason.
How concerned are you about this?
My concern is ongoing as it applies to the Trump administration, because we can only speculate as to what is going to come next. That being said, it seems as if there are relatively credible reports that as many as 100 federal agents will be descending in some form on the Twin Cities, targeting our Somali community. Now, again, we do not have this confirmed. We learned about this as you all learned about this, which was through the news. We do not cooperate with federal agents around immigration enforcement work, period. And so they're unlikely to give us a heads up or a rundown as to where their activities are going to go next. But am I concerned? Of course.
What, I guess, as you look at this playing out, what percentage, do we know what percentage of Somalis in Minneapolis or in Minnesota are American citizens, naturalized citizens? I would imagine most are, right?
The vast majority. I don't want to assign a percentage and get it wrong, but the vast majority, almost all, are either citizens or here legally, documented with paperwork. They're coming in on planes and largely checked. And so, we've got somewhere around 80,000 Somali people that live in the state of Minnesota. There's only a matter of a few hundred, I believe, that are on protective status that Donald Trump is also going after. And so the thing that he's trying to do, which is to somehow target undocumented Somali residents, is very hard and nearly impossible. And so there's very little doubt in my mind that what they'll end up doing is making a ton of mistakes. They'll end up arresting American citizens in some form. They'll arrest people that are very much here legally, violate due process and habeas corpus and a number of other legal values that we hold true in our Constitution. And I mean, this is a moment when you got to say, hey, we're Americans. We stand up for our Constitution. We will not let people violate it. And yeah, what he's talking about doing is, it's black letter law violation of the United States Constitution. So it is deeply concerning, but we have the law on our side. We are preemptively suing in a number of different areas right now against the Trump administration. We'll have legal supports that'll be there for people, as many as we can provide that need them.
Here, as we're talking with Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey and Mayor Melvin Carter in St. Paul was at this news conference as well. Let me play a little bit of what the President of the United States said at the cabinet meeting. So this is a public cabinet meeting. The chief executive, a lot of Somalis in Minnesota and Minneapolis voted for President Donald Trump. Here is what the president said just a couple hours ago.
Now I'm understanding, and you're going to look at I hear they ripped off Somalians, ripped off that state for billions of dollars, billions, every year, billions of dollars, and they contribute nothing. The welfare is like 88%. They contribute nothing. I don't want them in our country, I'll be honest with you.
How do you respond to that from the president?
It's so racist and ridiculous. First, let's start with this. You do not hold an entire community accountable for the actions of a few or even many. For those that committed fraud, for those that stole money, for those that took money out of state coffers and federal dollars and they use them for personal gain, they should be held accountable. They should go to jail. They should get in trouble, period. That applies no matter what community or background it is. We are a nation of laws in that respect, and people should be accountable to follow them. But you do not hold entire communities accountable for the actions of a few. You don't do that no matter what community it is. Look, I'm Jewish. When Bernie Madoff had all these financial crimes that he went forward with, I didn't get held accountable. Nobody said, hey, you're Bernie Madoff. You should get, you're clearly a financial fraudster. That's not what we do in this country.
What do you think should happen to Somalis who are here, who shouldn't be here, who are undocumented or who are here illegally?
Here's the thing. We in Minneapolis, the Somali community has contributed so greatly to entrepreneurship in the economy, to providing cultural improvements to our city. They make our city better. They make our city the place that it is. Clearly, there needs to be an orderly way of coming into the country. We all know that. And at the same time, we can't be ripping families apart. I am responsible for keeping people safe in the city and for devoting resources to best keep them safe. And so, for instance, what do I want my police officers doing? What do we want our police officers doing? We want them arresting perpetrators of violent crime, arresting murderers, preventing carjackings from happening. You know what I don't want them doing? Spending a single minute hunting down a father who just dropped his kids off at daycare, who's about to go work a 12-hour shift, who happens to be from Mogadishu or Ecuador or Afghanistan or literally anywhere else. Let's devote our resources to keeping people safe. That should be a priority as to how we handle things in Minneapolis and the country.
Jacob Frey is with.
Let me just add.
Go ahead.
Let me just add. There are ways that the federal government could help us keep people safe in this city and around the country. We welcome assistance from the ATF or the DEA or the FBI when, for instance, Melissa Hortman was assassinated. We welcome their assistance in preventing this mass narcotic trade and fentanyl from getting into our city in large quantities. We welcome their assistance in preventing homicides and violent crime from taking place and going after the perpetrators of gun crimes. You know, let's work together on that. We're absolutely, you know, we will work with them. We have, for many administrations, worked with the federal government in that respect. But the devotion of resources and personnel to both causing chaos, to terrorizing communities, to ripping families apart, and to going after people that haven't done anything wrong other than loving on their family, come on, that ain't right.
Do you think you and the governor have communicated that sort of willingness to take federal government help in some of these areas that you just spoke about effectively? Because
we're literally working with them right now on a number of different areas.
But you see the governor sort of sparring with the president on social media, on Meet the Press. Is the sort of adversarial approach, is it working? Because it seems like maybe it's not working, that Minnesota is an obsession now of this administration. And I just wonder if there's any evaluation of the way that you and Melvin Carter and Tim Walz are engaging in dialogue with President Trump.
When a president, or anybody else for that matter, says, I don't like Somalis, I don't want them in our country, they got to get out of our country. When the president or anybody else says that about any group, there needs to be a quick and fierce response.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. I mean, at this point, now we're at the, like, what do you say to that other than that is an astonishingly racist and xenophobic thing to hear out of the chief executive of the United States of America. But I'm just wondering, headed up to this point, has the adversarial approach, has this worked for Minnesota? Has this been a good thing?
I think everybody's wrestling with how to handle a Trump administration that is chaotic, that does not abide by the rule of law or the Constitution. And so, I mean, look, if someone wants to say you could have said this better or done this, improved on this, I'm all ears. I'm always trying to improve on things. And at the same time, no, I won't abdicate my responsibility to stand up for the communities to call Minneapolis home and to make it a better place. That's my job. And if they go after the Latino community, well, I'm going to stand up for the Latino community. If they go after the Afghanistan community, then the same idea. Jewish community, same idea. It shouldn't matter where you're from. If you live in Minneapolis, you want to make it a better place, you abide by the law, come on, we want you here.
Jacob Frey is with us, the mayor of Minneapolis. We've seen when ICE comes in, we saw this in St. Paul, we saw this on sort of a miscommunication over action done on Lake Street in Minneapolis. We see protesters show up, and often things escalate and the local police get involved. What is your message to citizens who, if there is in fact action, are likely going to want to protest?
We got to find ways to keep the peace. We can't put the very people in danger that we purport to want to help. In Minneapolis, we stand up for your First Amendment rights. We stand up for freedom of speech. There are people in Minneapolis that are practicing that right virtually literally every single day in our city. And at the same time, we got to make sure that people are not hurt, that lives are not put in danger, that property is not damaged. That is the job of our police officers. And so my message is like, look, don't take the bait and sign up for the chaos that they're creating. Let's find ways to, again, keep people safe as best we can and stand by the families that call Minneapolis home.
To your knowledge, has there been any ICE action in the Somali community yet today?
So I have heard about a number of instances I cannot confirm yet.
But it's something, I mean, is this like there's an emergency response sort of centralized approach, or how are you guys gathering all of this to make sure, we want people to have good information too, because I'm certain all sorts of nonsense is going to fly around.
We do, and that's often the difficult balance that we're trying to strike is getting information out that is accurate, but not doing it so quickly that the information that we provide ends up being wrong. Yeah, there are certainly rumors. There are instances that seem to be some form of federal immigration action, but we cannot confirm that yet. I mean, and this is the dynamic that puts us in a very tough place. Is again, we won't work with federal agencies around federal law enforcement of immigration. We won't work with them on that. And because we won't work with them, they won't let us know what they're doing or when they're coming in, which makes it all the harder.
Jacob Frey is with us. We appreciate the time, and we'll certainly be checking in over the next couple of days. Thanks, Mayor.
Thanks so much, Jason.